The Mae Young Classic has, in a single year, become one of the most important parts of the women's wrestling calendar. To think that in 2016 we didn't have this, or the Rumble, or the Battle Royale, or Evolution is mind-boggling, but we didn't, and now we do, and this came first. Last year's final gave us Kyrie Seine versus Shayna Baszler, two women who have gone on to have excellent years with the company, so while it's unlikely that winning this will become more important than carrying gold in WWE, it is nonetheless quite important. This year though, while we do have a few returning new faces, by and large it's a brand new field from all across the world. We've got martial artists, knockout, past, present and future indie champions, her-off Ninja Warrior, and even a former diva. We've got it all. But how are they all going to get on? Well, I'm glad you asked, because my name is Adam Cleary and these are all 32 wrestlers in the 2018 Mae Young Classic ranked. Oh, but before we start, it's really hard to rank like 16 people in a row when they're all going to go out in the first round. So we've done this by what stage of the competition they're all going to get to, rather than just like 32 to 1. You'll understand when you see it. Oh, and double O, they might have finished filming this by the time the video goes out, so if you know the results, don't be a dick in the comments, right? Good? We're all good? Right, let's go. But before we begin, why not subscribe to stay notified? Ding, ding, done. Vanessa Craven is what's known as a very big person. She's 6'2" and went to the same training school as Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. She's good, yes, but expected to play that monster role in the first round that somebody else overcomes to put their own name on the map. I'm sure you'll all remember Rachel Evers from her second round exit to Abby Leith. Last year, she's still considered Paul Ellering's protege, but given the increased quality in the competition this year, we're not expecting her to go any further than the second round, probably still going out in the first. Another returning face is Australia's Rhea Ripley, who also went out in the second round, this time in an Australasian derby against Dakota Kai. Now this is at the Performance Center. It would be a shame to see her go back on last year's second round, but we can't see her doing bits just yet. I have been wrong in the past though. Speaking of me being wrong though, Puerto Rican female wrestling icon Xerxes, I'm not totally sure, is either in this as first round fodder or as a potential surprise semi-finalist or even finalist. Her finishing move is a top rope Spanish fly, so what else do you need to know? Rena Gonzales managed an uninspiring 4 minutes 27 seconds in last year's Mae Young Classic, so she wasn't somebody I think any of us were really expecting to see back anytime soon. However, she is also at the Performance Center these days and is clearly somebody WWE sees something in, so you never know. Priscilla Kelly is only 21 but is already regarded as one of the most exciting women to watch on the indies. Plus, and this is apparently very important, I'm told she's just made her debut in Japan. Like a few people in this, it maybe comes just a few years too early for her, but don't write her off. No relation to Priscilla, but it's no surprise to see Killer Kelly in this year's competition after she made her WWE NXT UK, God, they need to sort that abbreviation out, debut this past June. She's got a real martial arts vibe about her, throws some eye-watering kicks, and was WXW's first ever women's champion, so yeah, she's good. MJ Jenkins is a brand new recruit at the Performance Center, so well done to her for getting thrown into the Mae Young so bloody quickly. She's a graduate of the Dudley's 3D Training Academy, so yes, even if it is a bit soon for this year, expect to see her doing things in the near future. Karen Q was a bit of a surprise inclusion in the Mae Young this year, not least of all because I thought she was still the lead singer in the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, but because she'd only just signed with Ring of Honor in 2017. Since then though, she's not actually made that many appearances, went out of a tournament to Brandy Road, so yes, let's hope for better things for her here. Nicole Mathews has previous with WWE, having wrestled Asuka and Becky Lynch during her indie career. Now, sadly, she's not somebody they're going to be likely to want to push at all in this, given her background and her age, but she's still a very cool inclusion nonetheless. Another product of the Dudley's 3D Academy is Laci Lane, who, and I think I'm right in saying, was absolutely hot at basketball in college, but then decided to, you know, just give wrestling a try. A few short years later, she's in the Mae Young Classic, so I think it's fair to say she's taken to that quite nicely. An all-rounder, you'd call her. Hiroyu Matsumoto, or to use the name she's actually given, Lady Godzilla. She actually gets called Lady Godzilla and was ranked the 25th best women's wrestler in the entire world last year, just behind Candice LeRae and, admittedly, Nia Jax. She has a vicious arsenal of powerbombs and throws and suplexes and once held 4 titles simultaneously, so if I am wrong about anybody going out in the first round, it is her. Let's see. If you think you've heard the name of Kacy Catanzaro before, that's because you probably have, and she's that girl who absolutely smashed American Ninja Warrior, and the videos of which now have millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of views. She is now at the Performance Center training to be a wrestler with WWE, and apparently it all comes this just a little bit too soon with her, so we're not expecting anything resembling a push here, but it won't be long. Another recent Performance Center addition is Jessie Elaban, who stands at 5'10" and was apparently quite the volleyball player before she transitioned into wrestling. Now, she is about as much of a newcomer as newcomers can come. I think that's correct English, and was something of a surprising inclusion. Another one we're not expecting too much from, but keep an eye on. Zatara is one of those masked female wrestlers you tend not to see all that very much of, but she is an absolute icon in her native Chile because she's the first ever female to become the RLL Grand Slam champion, which means she won all 4 of their major belts, yes, including the men's one. So yes, fair enough. Sadly, this young's Mae Young Classic comes slightly too soon for the meteoric push I'm sure Ariel Monroe will one day be getting. She is, after all, former Air Force, was trained by Cedric Alexander, 2 things that are really, really cool, but she's only 3 years into a wrestling career, so again, bit soon. You remember Isla Dawn, don't you? WWE called her Stacey Coates and then jobbed her out to Asuka in little over 1 minute on an episode of UK Raw last year. Now that was way better than she deserves, and we think her reward is going to be at least 1 win in the Mae Young Classic, a reward she richly deserves in our eyes. Now I know what you're thinking, Brookside, but no, there's absolutely no link or connection whatsoever to Channel 4's era-defining soap opera of the same name. Oh, Robbie Brookside from the Performance Center. Yes, daughter, I think. But more importantly, she's the reigning IPW Women's Champion, and at the age of 19, has a hell of a future ahead of her. Kavita Devi is arguably one of last year's breakout stars, given that fans in her native India basically made her the most viewed wrestler on the planet for about 1 week. That match she had with Dakota Kai now sits on something like 30 million views and rising. I know you don't care about that, but WWE probably do, so yeah, expect a repeat there. At least 1 win, we think. Xia Li is one of WWE's first ever full-time recruits from China, but given the amount of noises they're making about wanting to break in to that territory, see our news video we just did on John Cena in the Shanghai show, I presented it, it's really good. She'll definitely not be the last. Now, if you missed her last year, she has a brilliant array of martial arts inspired kicks, and her moveset's very exciting, so expect to see her pick up at least 1 win at the tournament this year. Another first round elimination last year, Tanara Conti was put out by Lacey Evans, but has since then featured on actual WrestleMania, so WWE must see something there in their first ever Brazilian recruit. Now, we think here at WhatCulture it's maybe a little bit too soon for them to be really pushing her that far in NXT, but I think she gets to the second round this year. She's gonna develop a bit, because she's in NXT, isn't she? You're meant to develop, so second round. Tegan Knox does this in the ring to people.
She might have spit the aggression. About to happen again!
Now, obviously, all that means I really want her to win this thing. Love you, Nixon, but having just returned from a very serious, very long-term injury, 1 or 2 wins is probably enough. Kaitlyn, and yes, it is that Kaitlyn, is now more commonly seen in JR's Instagram likes, but since coming out of retirement at the back end of last year, she has steadily built her profile back up. Now, this is her first return to WWE since she left in 2014, but she was a Divas champion back then, so anything could happen with her. We've got second round, but take your pick. Cast your minds back to last year, and Mia Yim pinned Sarah Logan clean as a goddamn whistle, and it took Shayna Baszler to eliminate her from the tournament, so we are expecting as good, if not an improved showing from her this year. Now, that said, she has suffered a bit of an injury since the last tournament, so her offense is now more ground-based, more submission-based, but if anything, that makes her more exciting to watch. Now, here's an interesting one. Joana Peraza was originally on the card for All In, but was pulled from it after WWE, well, swept in and signed her up. Now, this is definitely a political move, but that shouldn't detract from a very obvious talent we've seen in places like Ring of Honor. Like, she was on that All-In card for good reason, and she's on this show for good reason as well. So we think quarterfinals. We've got Alison Kay in the quarterfinals here, but she could easily be a surprise package for later on in the tournament. Now, she's 5'10", she's got over a decade of experience, she's wrestled all over the world and basically just chucks her opponents around like an empty tracksuit. I'm a big fan of that. Ginny is the current Progress Women's Champion, is expected to be a major part of NXT UK, but more importantly than any of that, is absolutely f***ing mint. Now, she's only 3 years into her career so far, but if you've not seen her before, she hits really, 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 really hard. Really hard. Could easily be a surprise semi-finalist. Now, this is Ashley Rain, but yes, you're absolutely right. It's also Madison Rain, and yes, you're also absolutely right. Aren't you so clever? She's just had a TNA Knockouts Championship match and a Women of Honor Championship match. Now, she must have been offered a fairly decent carrot to walk away from booking that strong, so we're expecting quarterfinals at the very least. One of last year's favourites to actually go and win the bloody thing, Mercedes Martinez, could easily repeat last year's semi-final placing. Now, she is still one of the pillars of women's independent wrestling, is still absolutely brilliant to watch, and was definitely, yes, one of the best things about last year's tournament, so we can't see her going backwards. Semis minimum. Now, I have Miko Satomura in the semi-final stage, but that's purely only because I can't see WWE booking an all-Japanese women's final. More on that later, obviously. But by rights and objectively speaking, she should be considered one of the favourites to win the tournament. On the off chance you're unfamiliar, she's the founder of the Sendai Girls promotion in Japan. She's got like over 20 years of experience and has wrestled all over the world. She literally took the Fight Club Pro title from Chris Brooks, and Chris Brooks is about 1 million foot tall. So yeah, semis, I guess, but could win. Right, okay, Toni Storm isn't the woman who's going to come into this competition with the highest pedigree, but I do think WWE will try and present her to us that way. I mean, she was a semi-finalist last year, she's going to be a major part of NXT UK, and she's an absolute icon in Progress, which is a company WWE have very, very cozy ties with. She hasn't got the best CV out of everyone in this tournament, but I think as far as WWE are concerned, she does. Don't get this twisted though, that's not to say she wouldn't fully deserve to go all the way in this competition, because she absolutely would, but given that they've got to have one eye on what they're going to do after this, they've got to have one eye on the legacy of the tournament, she will jump out of the company as someone who is very, very worth investing in. I mean, aside from the Progress ties, the NXT ties, and the fact she's a familiar face to anybody who watched last year, she is still only 22. Yes, Toni Storm, who's been around for ever, is still only 22, so from a commercial and business point of view, she is an absolute no-brainer for that company. She has all of her best wrestling years ahead of her, so they might as well use them. But without almost a single shred of doubt in this pretty little mind, the winner of the 2018 Mae Young Classic is going to be Io Shirai. Like, in terms of a high-profile blockbuster female signing, she is honestly up there with Ronda Rousey. Seriously. She's been widely regarded as the best women's wrestler on the entire planet for, God, a number of years now, and her arrival in NXT could honestly be one of the most important things to happen to that women's division since the Four Horsewomen. Like, Asuka's not even on her level, and think about what a big deal, what a game changer Asuka was. She's the next one up. Last year, injury robbed her of an appearance in this tournament, and if the rumours are to be believed, actually winning it, so 2018 is almost definitely, cross my heart and hope to die, her year. If it's not, well, then I was wrong again, I guess, but I'm not. She's winning it. So, Christ, that was a long one. That's all 32 entrants in the 2018 Mae Young Classic, ranked from finishing in the first round to being Io Shirai. Let us know what you made of all this in the comments below, and of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, you can do it, floating around the screen somewhere, and why not follow WhatCulture WWE while you're at it? That is also floating around the screen somewhere. Until next time though, thank you very much for watching. I have, of course, been Adam Cleary, and I'll see you soon. Bye.